two sides of it. There's a side of it within human nature that wants to gain status from it. From back when we were in sort of tribal days, we used to want to gain status.
Mhm.
So wanting to be something and become someone is there, and that's true. But then I feel like it's a Western versus an Eastern philosophy or like cultural thing, where in the Eastern culture, there's very much that, right? If you, like we used to talk about it beforehand in Portugal,
Mm.
if you are enough as it is, then you have everything that you need.
Mm.
But then if you had everything that you need, you don't feel that desire to go and make something of yourself necessarily.
Yeah.
But everyone battles with that, I'm sure.
So that means that you are enough. However, not really. You should be striving for more.
You can be enough. I'm sure, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be striving for more. But, I mean, there's no harm in that either, though. The way I kind of look at it now is it's compound growth. It's exponential over time. It's not like I'm trying to go and be someone I'm not or do something I don't want to do. It's right. Everything I do, I've got to enjoy doing, and it's got to be able to possibly lead somewhere and snowball.
Yeah.
Where if I'm enjoying doing it, that's great. But if I don't do something like this, like the podcast or something else video-wise or recording-wise, then there's no way for that to possibly escalate and become my livelihood in the future.
That makes sense. And I think there's no harm in it until it goes wrong, until you lose yourself in the process, in the snowball effects, in the wanting to become something or someone, because that's when you realize that in your pursuit, you lost the gratitude for yourself, if that makes sense. You lost the appreciation, the feeling that you are enough. So
100%.
Yeah, it isn't a problem until it becomes a problem, and then it's too late.
Yeah, very true. I mean, part of that, though, for me anyway, is that if I lose that gratitude and that appreciation, then what I'm doing would not be worth doing it in the first place. I wouldn't enjoy doing these podcasts. I wouldn't enjoy traveling and documenting and recording it. I wouldn't enjoy the things I was doing if I didn't have that gratitude.
Okay,
because it's a different level of stress. It's a different level of stress when you feel like you have to do something for money, as opposed to you want to do something and then whether you get paid for it or not is a difference.
Yeah, no, that's true. So I'm assuming you still travel a lot.
Yeah, I'm out in Australia at the moment.
But do you still do that crazy 2 weeks work, 2 weeks abroad shift?
No, not anymore. I gave that up. That was too much work. There's too much work. No, that was good. That was really fun though. I mean, it was 2 years ago now, almost 2 years ago. I think.
Okay. Like
So
it sounded like fun, but to be able to withstand the 2 weeks of, like, I think you made 50 hours a week in those 2 weeks, right?
Oh, 80 hours.
80, crazy.
I was doing 11-hour days, Monday to Sunday. So it was 1 p.m. till 1 a.m. But I did that for 7 days, and then I'd get 7 days off. So it wasn't 2 weeks.
Oh.
2 weeks on. It was 1 week on, 1 week off.
Okay. And then you traveled for 1 week.
Yeah, for 1 week I was able to come out to. Well, we met in Achaempong, Portugal, and then I did Barcelona, Krakow, and a few others doing that. But it's good. I just hate that feeling of it's going to be over, because those last couple of days is I've got to go back and I've got to go do a week of work.
That's true.
And it's not even a week; it's 2 weeks of work crammed into one. But then you're used to that. You do a lot of hours. I take it now that you're a qualified doctor.
It's a bit different because I work part-time, and in Holland, I call Holland, compared to like America and the UK, the soft country. So especially our generation, like, we complain when we have to make 40 hours a week. So I think I usually work around 32 hours, and then and that's 4 days. So every day I might work, let's say 30 minutes extra or something like that. And if it's more than 30 minutes, I'll be like, I'll be upset. It's a failed mission. uh, but I think for us, for me at least, the hard working is they kind of snuck up onto me, because with working for 4 days and having a lot of spare time, um, I had the space to do a lot of extra things, which then again filled up the whole week to make it, I don't know, an 80-hour work week again, without realizing it.
Well, that's not necessarily a problem. If it's something you enjoy doing, it doesn't really feel too much like.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So what were you doing on your time off then?
So I'm doing a second master.
Oh, nice.
I want to pursue my music. I've kind of been, I don't know, I let it slip a bit. So I want to bring it back to the level where it used to be.
Yeah, because it was
And
really good. I loved your stuff. I'd see it when I'd see it on
thank
your
you,
stories and whatnot.
thank you.
Actually, no, I think I called you that time when that song I showed you in Portugal, and then you'd remixed it and you were playing it as in one of your sets.
Bro, you have such a good memory. I don't recall this, but like, give me a bit more information. Um,
So you're a busy guy. You got the more important things like saving lives to think about most of the time. My working memory is just full of it's like my own highlight reel, and anything else just kind of gets filtered out. But that's how much it
but
meant to me at the time. I loved it. We had a lot of good chats, and we got on so well when we were in Portugal. And I shared with you
yeah.
a song. I can't remember what song it was. It'll come to me at some point.
Okay.
But then it was last year at some point. So it was almost like 6 months
Oh yeah,
or a bit later.
yeah. It was
Yeah, so we played that song whilst we were out in Portugal, and it was
yeah.
yeah, and then we both liked it, we were both listening, we were talking about life, talking about philosophy and all that kind of shit. And then I got back and you'd remixed it into something else. Oh no, it was months later, and I was out with my friends at the time. I was out with my friends, and then I get a tagged on a story by you, and it was that you played this remix of a song that you've made from where it began to where we are now. And I was like, oh my god, that's so cool, that's so amazing. And I was quite drunk at the time because I was out with my friends. Because it was like you just recorded it, and it was a night. It was like a Friday night or a Saturday night. And I'd seen that, and I was out, and I think I was walking home. I was stumbling home, like swaying side to side, seeing double screens, looking down at my phone. And I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. And I was messaging you at the time. I was like, Isaac, what the fuck? That's so cool. That's it. I'm coming over to you because I was at the time. I don't know how it was, but I was just off work at some reason. I had some cash. I was like, I'm flying over to you. I'm coming over. Let's make it happen. I miss you, bro. I haven't seen you in so long. So by the time I got back home, the whole time I was scrolling home, I was going through like EasyJet, Google Flights, and all these to find a flight over to yours, over to Amsterdam,
Yeah. I
just
remember
for a
this.
few
Yeah.
days. So I was like, yeah, awesome. So I booked the flight, and the flight was quite cheap. I think it was only like, it was 120 euros return or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe less. I think it's
But the
probably definitely less
hostels.
actually. Yeah, so I did that whilst I was quite drunk. And then the next morning I was getting excited. I was like, yeah, nice, it'll be next week. I'll be flying over in like a few days' time, ready for the weekend. And then I went to look at the hostels the next morning for accommodation. I was like, oh my god, it's like 200 euros per night this last minute. And I'd booked the whole trip for 5 nights. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. It was crazy.
It's like, Isaac, I'm so sorry. It would have been nice to, but you didn't have a place for me to stay. And I was like, oh fuck.
And I was so surprised that hostels are so expensive in Holland. Like I didn't know.
It was, yeah, I think it was just because it was so last minute. It was so last minute, and all of them were taken up. And
Okay.
I can't remember when it was. I can't remember what time of year it was. But it was so taken up for so long. Well, so short notice. Sorry, that it just cost so much, and I ended up having to spend the rest of that day. That was probably for like 3 hours in the queue because it was post-COVID. 3 hours on the queue on the phone to cancel my flight, which I'd paid for, which then cost me €60 to cancel.
To
So
really? That
yeah, to
makes
get a
no
refund.
sense.
I
That
know.
makes no sense.
So I effectively paid €60 for the pipe dream, or just like a really like exciting idea of coming to visit a good friend. I was like, so
Oh wow.
I'm trying not to see it as, oh, that's money lost. No, I just paid for the excitement, but I didn't get the end result.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Silver linings, wherever we can.
No. Yeah. I love the spontaneity. And it's so difficult to be spontaneous. I have the same thing where I booked a trip to France with my girlfriend. Also like to surprise her because she was is, she has like a bit of in my opinion her view of the world is so difficult, or she makes it look like traveling is something very difficult or something you should really prepare and plan for. So even going to France, she was like, "When are we coming again? This will like this is once in a lifetime thing." And I looked at her and like, and I was like, "This is France. This is around the corner. We can drive to France in I don't know 4 hours or something." So I wanted to surprise her and book a spontaneous trip to France. I booked a train ticket. It was like €150, the same thing as yours. And then I looked at the hostels and I was like, "Huh, okay." Didn't
Yeah,
see this
that's how they
coming.
get you. That's how they get you every time. Did you end up going? Because
Yeah.
didn't you learn French as a language?
Yes, still going strong.
Still
Uh,
going strong. Was that completely on
2 years
Duolingo?
of Duolingo. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What?
We're
How
actually
good is
going
it? Speak
Tuesday.
to me.
To be
Speak to
quite
me. Oh,
honest,
nice.
yeah, je parlais un petit peu français. J'ai étudié au Duolingo. Je suis un docteur à Hollande. Yeah, I don't know what
So
else to say,
was that?
but it's. Mhm.
I learned to speak French on Duolingo, and I am a doctor
Yeah,
in Holland.
yeah.
There we go. See, right. So
Like they. Mhm.
I just spent last winter, our winter, um,
Mm.
in France.
Oh, dope. Where did you stay?
So myself and my girlfriend, we did a winter season
Of course, of
in
course.
the Three Valleys, and didn't learn a single bit of French at all because everyone just speaks to you in English. Because we are English,
Really?
everyone speaks to us in English, even if we try to speak to them in French. Not like we really tried. The only thing I think I did learn was "Please may I have," so I could get ordered, so I could get some respect from the guys behind the bar,
Yeah, yeah,
so they'd
yeah, yeah,
serve me
yeah,
quicker.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
So
so,
puis-je avoir un billet, s'il vous plaît? There we
dope. But
go.
and why did you decide to go to France?
This is the winter season, snowboarding.
Okay, okay, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. So you spent the whole
So
winter there.
so to catch you up from when we met in Barcelona, sorry, in Ericeira,
Mm-hmm.
I was offered. Well, I had applied for it beforehand, but then I was offered a job doing a summer season. So that's like because I worked in
Mm,
childcare before, and
mm-hmm.
that was a summer season in Greece. So I spent the summer in Greece, and that's where I
Okay.
met my lovely girlfriend Katie. And then
Wow.
so that summer season was 3-4 months, 10 weeks, something like that. And then I was home for a little bit, working, save up, whilst also applying for the role in the winter, and that was
Mm.
in France, in the Alps. Again, childcare. So we did
Okay.
that, and that
Dope.
was for almost 5 months.
Mm.
Yeah, December through to the end of April, the whole winter season. And then from there, we'd gone back, saved up enough so that we can come out, and now living out van life in Australia.
So basically, every time you go home is to save up to leave again. That's
Exactly, but that's what I want to avoid, though. That's why. So we were on about beforehand doing
Mhm,
stuff where it was okay. You've got you are enough. You don't need to aspire to be anything
mhm,
else or to get anything else other than what you've got, which is a great notion. But that doesn't help day to day, where if the thing I want to do is travel and it costs money and I want to go see the world
Yes.
and all these amazing
Yeah.
places and meet amazing people like yourself, I don't want to do that in a way where I'm always going to have to go home and save up in order to go for the next adventure.
That's interesting, because one thing a kind of mentor of mine said to me was, because I wanted the lifestyle he was living, and this was like a 55-year-old professor who was the head of the medical school, did a lot of great academic things, and now he was dialing it back and telling me about how he's now focusing more on the things he wants to do, his music and the academic choices he only wants to do, no longer the necessary things. And I looked at him with big eyes, and I was like, I want to do the same thing. I want to be able to choose what I want to do and not just do what I have to do. And then he looked at me and he's like, you just came on this earth. You can't just start with the enjoyment. You got to put in the work before you enjoy. And I think I do get what you're saying, but one of the easiest ways to be happy is to want less, if that makes sense.
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah,
100. I think we spoke beforehand about the idea of dukkha in Buddhism. Do you know what that is?
no, I forgot.
So dukkha is the Buddhist term for suffering. But what dukkha is that suffering is derived from desire.
That's true. Yeah. I remember this.
And the reason for this is that the more that you desire, what you're actually doing is placing yourself in a position
Where you don't
of
have
lack,
it.
where you don't have it.
Yeah.
So therefore, you are not whole.
Yeah.
So therefore, you'll not feel whole. You'll not have that fulfillment and that peace. You'll feel like a bit is missing, and we'll have to go and get that piece. Which is, I
That's
get
true.
exactly where you're coming from with that. However, at the same point, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. I've never said that I want to live a life of happy-go-lucky, everything's amazing, go out and enjoy it. What I'm trying to do is blend the two together. Do something that I love to do in a way that I can be of service to others and work fucking hard at that to achieve that. Because I looked a lot of people I respect and admire, successful people, and also at people who aren't so successful, and I looked at the commonalities and differences between them. And so for myself, the ones who ever did anything, not even noteworthy, but anything where they are completely happy with their lives and they've done amazing things or amazing stories, are the ones that did something that they loved so much that they began to hate it.
Wow.
But then pushed through it because they loved it. So I don't see any reason why I have to have a career at home in the UK for a job that I'm not particularly happy with, so that I can do all the things I enjoy at the end.
Cause what's the goal now to get that clear?
The goal now, just everyday happy. Not everyday happy, sorry. Every day working towards something that I want to do.
Okay. And
Life on my
what
own
is that
terms.
working toward? Like, so what is the goal you're working towards?
It doesn't have to be in particular goal. I'm doing what I enjoy doing each day. Sometimes I don't enjoy it, but I've committed to myself that I'm going to do it.
Yeah, but so what's the commitment towards? Or am I missing something?
So for me, the commitment is a life I can look back at the end of my life as if it was a movie.
So
If I can look back at the end of my life and I can follow that narrative along as, wow, I've done some pretty fucking amazing stuff. I've met some amazing people and I've helped a load of people along the way. That's the goal for me.
So the
And if
goal
I
is
can
to
help
live
people enjoy their life at the same time, then great. Because you've got to be of service.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, you've got to be of service.
Yeah.
Was it Muhammad Ali? He was like, service is the rent we pay for our room here on earth. So I've got to do something that helps other people. I've got to do something that I enjoy. And I've got to do something that I can build towards something.
And so the last few days, what is bringing you closer towards that goal?
I feel like you're podcasting me, not the other way around. I love it.
No, I'm just very curious about it.
No, it's good because I'm going to ask you pretty much all these exact same questions. Bringing me closer towards this goal is literally being out here and doing things like this. I've been doing a lot of things, experimenting with a lot of things, whether that be my personal training, videos with their like online content and whatnot, and then also with the podcast. And then after each iteration, everything I do, I like to review it and look at, all right, what did I like, what didn't I like, what could be beneficial to me, beneficial to others, and so on and so forth. And I keep coming back to the same thing where I'm just not going to stick with something with any true passion unless I enjoy it and I can see the benefit towards other people. So to answer your question, right now I'm speaking to you. Speaking to you is what I want to do. Like we were saying beforehand about being drawn away from the things that you want to do and getting stuck down that path of seeking, like just going for gold and not enjoying that journey. If I can do as many things that I can that I enjoy doing in that moment, then perfect. Yeah, there's things I don't enjoy and won't enjoy. But if I can do those things, like speaking to you now, like at the moment I'm out in the Blue Mountains, which is a national park in Australia, near Sydney, where I'm a bit later on. We're gonna go walk around this waterfall and jump in the creek. I was like, great, this is why I'm here. This is what I want to do. And then so I'd say the same for you. So in a similar thing, I don't like to ask what we're working towards necessarily, but more importantly for me, or to me anyway, is what excites you the most.
So wait, it's okay. Can I ask one more question? Because
yeah, of course,
I think
as many as you want.
I think what triggered me was the not wanting to do something if it doesn't truly bring you happiness, bring you closer to your goal, your passion. Because I think one thing I learned from my mentor was that there is some mundane, hard working stuff that you just have to do. Maybe you have to do a 9 to 5, 2 to 3 years. I don't know, to grind to get some money.
Oh hell yeah!
So
hell yeah! Sorry, I'm not saying it's all sunshine and rainbows. Fuck no. I spent hours on days just editing. Like I'll edit this podcast. I'll go through, make the clips, and make something of it. I'll do scripts for videos that I'm making. I'm driving around a lot. I'm working in jobs that I don't want to work at the same time. By no means is it just completely easy.
Okay.
However, I do know that it's very easy to get sucked into that all work and no play.
Yeah, that's true.
At the same time. So I'm trying to make sure that what I'm doing now has compound interest, that it can lead somewhere over time. I'm not just doing it so I've got the money to be able to do these things. I'm doing it because this is what I want to do, and I can see that light at the end of the tunnel, that eventually if I do this well and put in and work my nuts off now at the thing that I know I want to do, then who knows, with that hard work, within 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I could be living a life which I could only have ever dreamed of if I stick at it.
I get it. Yeah.
It's like I wasn't dropped on this earth with rich parents or
unfortunately,
or influencer good looks or anything like that. Even for a podcast, my accent is awful. from a place called Stoke in England. Yeah, it's not an aesthetic accent to listen to. So everyone has those things you've got to work at and work on.
Week.
I don't know. But yeah, so that mundane part, that working towards something is there. I'm never going to neglect that, and I'm never going to say, oh, you don't have to do it, because that work and that service is there, and you have to do it as well. It's not even that if we aren't of service and we aren't working hard at something, we don't enjoy it. We will not enjoy it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That hard work is part of the enjoyment, and if you can learn to love that hard work, even at the times when you hate it, then you're going to do very well with whatever you're doing, and you yourself know that as a doctor, as a DJ, as all these things, you're great at that. So the one thing I'd say on that though, at the same time, is something that's helped me a lot, which is one of the known ways people say to help battle with sort of depression and anxiety and whatnot is
gratitude
not to see gratitude. Gratitude as well along the way. This is amazing, but not to see happiness as an end goal, but to see it as a practice.
Yeah.
where in order to be happier more of the time, you've got to practice being happier more of the time. And to practice
Yeah.
being happy, you've got to do things that you enjoy, and then be grateful and appreciate the things that are around you.
Yeah, that's true.
So I can't be there saying, I can't say, oh, I'm going to do all this hard work and like difficult work which I don't enjoy now, because then I'm going to have the money and the security financially and assets wise or whatever it might be in order to do this in the future. Because it's just, I mean, I've seen that within my own family and people around me, where especially, I don't know if you know anyone of an older age who's retired and just seems quite miserable.
Yeah. They lack
I had
purpose.
my granddad, God rest his soul. He worked his whole life like in a post office and doing all the businessy type shit. And he worked hard. He was very good at what he did. He worked very hard. He's a very smart guy. And I always just remember him saying that, oh, I'm going to retire at this age. I'm going to retire at this age and then life's easy. I'm going to retire at this age and then everything's easy. And God, worry about anything. I can retire and live out the rest of my days. He retired at 65 or 67, something like that, because he wanted to retire as early as he could, and he had a good pension through the Royal Mail, the UK. So it's a government-run, or was a government-run organisation. And then as soon as he retired, he just went, right, life's easy now. I'm going to go out to eat out at a restaurant every day, and I'm going to drink every day. And he did drink every day. To the point at which that's what killed him. And I think he was only 71.
Oh.
So I'm saying that is that he worked so hard and didn't want to enjoy his time throughout his life, that he only had, 6 years, 7 years maybe, something like that, whatever it might be. Less than that, really, because only half of those were active years where he was functioning properly because of his going out and just enjoying it lifestyle. So, I mean, I didn't want to make that mistake. That was for sure.
Arthur Brooks has a lot of these same points.
Who, sorry?
I don't know if Arthur Brooks, the happiness doctor.
I don't know. No, who's he?
What is he? He wrote a book with Oprah Winfrey, so that's how you know you made it good. The book is called "Build the Life You Want." It's kind of like an Oprah title, but he's a professor at, I think, Harvard. Yeah, Harvard, where he teaches at the Harvard Business School, and teaches basically people from our age what the science tells us about happiness. And I think a lot of the things you said is basically what he found out just through hard research. Yeah.
Yeah, the science behind it is. I love the science behind it. I suppose you're a man of science as well yourself.
Yeah.
It helps really tie it together, because there's always those kind of feelings and inklings that people have about certain things or theories, which just seem to make sense, and they work for a lot of people. They sound very woo-woo at times when people talk about them, but then when they look into the actual science behind it of why, it's like, oh, okay, right, fair enough. There's a point to it. It's not mystical.
No.
It's scientific, but there's truth behind the words. But
I had that with meditation.
Yeah, because you were just getting into meditation when we first met. Do you still meditate as a good practice now?
I try to do it. I'm not as consistent as I would like to, but like the science behind it at least made a change for me from woohoo to something that's scientific now. Like I see meditation now really as a tool where if I want to study but I can't focus, or if my head is a bit I don't know, isn't in the right place, I don't have this tool of meditation. So I wouldn't say I'm a regular meditator, or a consistent at least, but I added meditation to my toolbox in case I run into problems.
Meditation's, for me anyway, it's one of those tools that works too well. Where, because it works so well, you stop doing it because you don't need it anymore. And then those issues start to come back because you weren't doing it, and then you need to start doing it again. It's hard to carry on when you're feeling great, when you're feeling fine, relaxed, and peaceful. There's not a thought in your mind that says, "I'm going to meditate."
No.
even though it will be beneficial for us to do it every day.
Yeah, very true.
It's almost like you
That's
don't take painkillers when there's nothing wrong with you, do you?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the
So what
difficult
else
part
then
about meditating.
for yourself then? Obviously, the meditation's a tool in your arsenal, but because we spoke a lot beforehand about that happiness concept and what makes a life and what makes a life worth living and has that true sense of fulfillment.
Yeah.
So I'll come back to what I was going to ask you earlier. For me, a lot of that comes down to excitement. It's an excitement and a higher purpose. A higher purpose beyond yourself. You couldn't just do something just for your own leisure. You're not going to enjoy it fully. You've got to be able to help other people at the same time. So for you, if we were to narrow it, sorry, confusing myself. Still early here. I'm tired.
It's okay.
A part of that for me is that excitement for life, and that desire, that curiosity for things that keeps you driving and keeps you going because you don't know what's going to happen, but you're excited to find out what might happen. So, what excites you the most at the moment? It could be big, it could be small. It could be a new recipe that you're looking forward to make at home in the kitchen.
To be honest, I think it will be a tie between like growing as a doctor, but also learning to play the guitar, which I started since 2 weeks ago. And this time, I don't know, I've tried it for like 3 times to learn how to play the guitar, but this time feels different. This time it feels like I'll actually get it. So I'm honestly always excited to just play those 5 and 10 minutes.
Oh, that's
And
so
even
sweet.
yeah,
Oh, that's
I think
cool.
I get excited to learn new things. I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, well, you always are. As a doctor, you're always constantly learning, non-stop. And if you stop learning, you start forgetting. Let's say,
Yeah.
like you're piecing together that puzzle. But then you went to learn a whole. What? How old are you again?
27.
Say at 25 years old, you went to go and learn French, and set out to learn French, and you learned all the DJing stuff beforehand. That's why I wanted to speak to you, because you were always looking to learn something and do something that you want to do beforehand, as well as doing what is probably the most noble thing you can do as a career path as a doctor. But then music's always played a big part for you. So, did you start off DJing when you were a lot younger?
No, I didn't. I think I have like this a similar thing. I wanted to say problem, but a similar drive that you have, where there needs to be a purpose, a goal which motivates you, and then you run as hard
it is
as
a
you can
problem. Yeah,
towards
you're not
that
wrong.
goal. Yeah,
It is a problem. You're not wrong.
I think that's why I have so many skills, which I just went beyond the basics, and then I left it because it felt too close. It felt like I was almost there, and then there's a new goal. So for me,
Yeah.
I think that the drive to do all those things is I can envision myself playing that, or the joy that would come from playing that, or the necessity from I don't know, from being a doctor, being able to help my community. So I can see the goal, and then I think I'm in my happiest when I can just focus and pursue that goal. So when I can just put in the hours, like work 40, let's say 32 hours on my regular job, then come home, do 1 hour of training, then do 1 hour of music, then maybe do a bit of DJing, then maybe listen to a podcast. So before you know it, it's already 10 o'clock. It's bedtime now. I think that's when I'm at my happiest.
Filling your time up with new stuff, new things that excite you.
Yeah, but also that brings you closer towards that goal that you chose. So I think I live life as if I'm being chased or as if I'm pursuing something. It's always like rushing forward towards something, um, and I don't like it when I don't have a reason to rush forward. If that makes sense.
Oh, of course, yeah. That drive and desire, I think it's very primal.
Yeah,
It's if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards, or you're standing still.
yeah.
And that's I think that's very indicative of people our age, though.
Mm,
People our age in particular, figuring out what we want to do and how we want to do it. Seeing all the media around us of people doing amazing things or different incredible feats of mankind. It's very easy to feel like, oh, we're not going to be able to achieve anything or be happy if we don't do those things.
mm.
But then it's a great feeling at the same time. Do you not find that the dilemma between it, like the duality? It's a horrible feeling. It's a problem, but it's a great feeling at the same time.
Yeah, I think the difficult part for me is I have this random intrinsic rush that makes me do it. So it's at this point, it doesn't even feel like I have a choice, if that makes sense. Like, so let's say if um, like you now started this new podcast adventure. If those podcasts are really amazing, like before you know it, I'll be also making a podcast. Like it's not even something that I can control. If I like something, then um, I have to also chase it. I have to always also take steps towards it. I
Yeah.
think like, do you have the same problem where like it's difficult to do something you don't want, and it's almost a necessity to do the things you want. Like you can't, even you can't stop you from doing the things you want to do.
No, exactly that. It's exactly that. The problem I have more so with that is when that starts to fade.
Mm,
Where there's something I'll sit there and I'll have my notepad. I'll meditate on it. I'll sit and I'll think, right, what do I want to do? How do I want to do it? Visualize where it'll lead, what could happen, and then walk it back to today and where I am. And at the time, because I'm filled with that drive, I'm absolutely full of fuel for to go chase after it. It sounds great, and I'm like, yeah, I can do this for like 2 years, 3 years. I'm well on it. It's fine. But then maybe even like a month later, the
mm.
cracks are starting to appear. Maybe sometimes
Yeah,
even less than a
yeah,
month.
yeah, yeah,
The cracks start to appear as in, oh, have I got to do this every
yeah,
single day? That's when
yeah.
I'm thinking, no. And that's when I start to know that I've fallen in love with the end product more than I
Mm,
have the actual activity itself.
yeah.
Which is why I'm doing the things like the podcast. Because every time I do a podcast, I fucking love it. It's ace. It's amazing. I get to talk to people, deep conversations with people, which I never get to have just in day-to-day passing because life's so fast at the moment.
But like you get
I
used
had,
to everything, so even this podcast will get boring. So how will you avoid the same problem?
I don't know if it will because I'm just talking to people. It's different people about different things.
But
I talked
at
about
some point,
to
you
one of
have
my
heard all the
friends.
wisdom there is. Like you've heard the stories, you've heard the knowledge, the wisdom. At some point,
How's
you
it?
know it all.
But I don't know. I don't think you'll ever know it all. Wisdom is just words. I mean, at the end of the day,
That's true.
what are we actually talking about? It doesn't really matter what we talk about. It's just I'm excited to talk to you and get to and speak to somebody else. I don't know if we'll ever know it all from that.
Okay, like I don't think you will know it all, but like as someone who listens, I would say one episode of the Diary of a CEO per day. For now, I think almost three years now. Um, even that joy is starting to dim. Whilst those are different topics, sometimes they're like regarding a professor from Harvard. Sometimes they're just personal stories. So it's very diverse, and even that is starting to fade. So I'm afraid that that effect will be the same on like making the podcast, because nothing
Maybe,
sustains.
maybe true, but that's why I want that exponential growth over things over
Okay.
time. Things will, if you work hard, as you already know, you work hard at things and you do well at things for so long and you're consistent with it. They don't stay the same. You playing the guitar now for an hour each night is not going to be the same experience as playing the guitar in 5 years' time. for an hour, and you can see that potential of, you're going to be better at it. You're going to be better at it, and because you're better at it, there's a whole universe of opportunities within that, where you can do different things, you can experiment in different ways, you can play different chords, you can play different tunes, you can write your own stuff. It becomes easier, it becomes more difficult at the same time because you've got more options. And the same with the podcast. I'll hopefully be able to speak to people who've done incredible things that I would only ever seen on YouTube or on the news, or people who've are just generally excited to talk about and talk to about. I had people, I'm lining up people I'm going to speak to who are doing weird and wonderful things in different areas, which I'm like, that's just piques my curiosity. Things will fade with different things, of course, but that's life. You find that curiosity in things, you find that excitement in things. If I just were to think that I'm not going to enjoy it or it's going to be boring, I wouldn't start it in the first place.
But so maybe I'm a bit pessimistic. I don't know. Yeah, but so if people can lose their arm and get used to not having an arm, so what makes you think that a podcast will sustain? I think even that will become boring. The more frequent you do it, and I'm very curious to see, because so let's say worst case scenario, I'm right, 2 years in, the guests you're speaking are doing more amazing stuff, but the joy has faded. What will you do now?
Whatever excites me then. It's like life is way too short to do things that don't excite you. And if it comes to a point where this doesn't excite me and I find it boring, then it's time to pull the plug. Doesn't matter how successful or not successful it is. Then yeah, it'll come time to it, and then I'll find something else which I find exciting.
But then the goal is then not to have an impact, because if you're not able to sustain something for a few hours, for a few years, then you'll never. It will be very difficult to make it a big presence, to make it have a big presence. So like, let's say one of those amazing big podcasts on YouTube. In 2 years, you could have reached that level. If you then decide to stop because it no longer brings you joy, then how will you make an impact?
I mean, you don't need to make an impact. I don't feel like I need to make an impact. That's if that's the case, where I'm thinking about the impact that I make entirely and have more and more people, then I'm truly missing the point. Like we spoke about right at the beginning where we said you get lost in the ride, in the excitement, in the thrill, in the other things, and you get lost and you start to lose your values with it. My whole purpose for doing this podcast and anything I'm doing at the moment is not to be the next Joe Rogan, not by a long shot. It's quite purely and simply that at the moment I'm traveling around meeting all these amazing people who have all these amazing stories to tell, and a podcast is an amazing excuse to get to speak to them. It's a great excuse to get to speak to them on a deeper level and know more about them and how they see the world, and hopefully learn from them. Where if I just saw them in passing, I might never speak to them again. And hell, it's a bonus if people enjoy listening to it. It's a bonus if it helps some people or gets them through some tough times. But the purpose isn't to have a massive impact. Because if I were to focus on having a big impact, I wouldn't not be having a true present conversation with the person I'm speaking to.
But so help me explain, because so you're doing the podcast, you're spending time interviewing the person, you're then spending a lot of time editing. Why then upload it and edit it if the goal is not to touch or to impact others?
Because if I don't do that, then it can't lead anywhere. It stays with me and dies with me.
Okay.
It's it's growth and it's learning for me. I get to listen back to how I speak to people, how they speak to me. I get to hear what they've done and what they've said. If other people can benefit from that as well, it's a bonus. But they
Okay.
won't get that benefit if it stays on the computer and it dies.
But so let's say that's the bonus, the benefit, that it doesn't stay with you, but it could it could reach 10 other persons if like if the continuity isn't, if you just decide to do this maybe for 3 months because the joy faded, so then um no, I think my point is, there's a very high chance of it having the same impact as you not uploading it, if the amount of people that are listening remains below 100, because what's the added value of those 100 people listening to it?
I mean, it doesn't matter who listens to it or how many people listen to it.
Okay.
Yes, it could be 100 people. And if it's 100 people who enjoyed it, then that's 100 people I've had a positive impact on. And that doesn't just stop at those 100 people. If I'm in a good mood and people have made me happy and life has made me happy, then I'm more likely to be more well-mannered, more positive and joyful with life with other people. And that puts a smile on their face because we enjoy our life together. And then they take that experience that we've had together and then they pass that on to the next person. And it's passing it forward. So that 100 people, they might go and speak to 5 further people that day. And if they're in a good mood because of something they've listened to from me and they feel positive because of that, then that's 500 people. And if those 500 people, have another 5 people there now positive and want to go speak to because of the secondhand effects of this conversation or any conversation, then that's 2,500 people. And if they're more positive and they have 5 more friends,
But
do you see where I'm going with this?
yeah, but that's not realistic, because otherwise every video on YouTube would have had the same effect. So like, it's the thing you're saying, it's mathematically true, but it's not the reality, because otherwise
Oh,
I
of
would
course.
have
I'm
been
not saying
speaking about every video to everyone.
Of course, I'm not saying that's every video, but if I can be positive and spread some joy and have a good, passionate conversation with somebody, and then somebody enjoys listening to that. Let's say there's 100 people who are like that, but then it really connects with 5 people and only 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
That effect is still there.
Mm-hmm.
You as a doctor, if you cure somebody's insufferable chronic pain through a practice or a medication or a surgery or whatever it might be, and then they're now not miserable all the time, then they're going to go on and be a lot more positive, and that's going to spread a lot further. But that's a very large impact. I'm not saying I'm going to impact everybody that way. I'm not going to impact maybe nobody in the whole video, but what it has done is it has positively impacted me because I've enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed the podcast. I've enjoyed doing it, even if it's only for these 3 months. Then if I go to speak to 10 more people today, and I've got a smile on my face and I'm cracking jokes and I'm asking them about their day and I'm caring about what they're doing because I'm not stressed about my life, then that's going to pass on through them to other people.
I think the part that's interesting to me is then the editing part, because it then makes sense to upload it online for whoever wants to listen to it, but the mundane and hard part of editing it, all the hours for something that you don't even need or want to have an impact, that seems like an unnecessary step.
It's not that I don't want it to have an impact. Of course I want it to have an impact. But I don't feel like it's a failure if it doesn't.
Okay.
If I were to see it as a failure if it doesn't, I would have quit already. If I think, oh, if I'm not impacting people and not everybody loves it, then I'm not going to do it. That's the same with everybody. Think of everyone who's of any, let's not say just success, but let's say any success. Any musician who has played in front of 100 people or 1,000 people or in front of an arena, at one point they picked up their guitar for the first time and they were shit.
Mm-hmm.
And people listened to it. I don't know if you've ever seen the videos of Ed Sheeran when he was like 14, 15 years old in a bar singing, and he's awful. He's like vocally, he sounds terrible. And it's not just puberty, he just hasn't learned how to sing better yet. And people may not have liked him as much as they like him now, for obvious reasons. Did he quit? Did he stop? Because he did it because he enjoyed doing it. And because he enjoyed doing it, he kept on doing it. And because he kept on doing it, he kept getting better and better. And because he got getting better and better, people started to like it more and more. Because they liked it more and more, they shared it more and more, and it impacted more and more people positively. I'm not saying you have to enjoy what you're doing to be successful at it at all. But if anyone is somebody like me who struggles to do something that they're not motivated to do, then doing something for the pure love of it and enjoyment of it at the time is a good way to stay stuck at it and keep doing it. Because not everyone's David Goggins. Not everyone can go out and perform without purpose and just do everything that's necessary regardless of whether you enjoy it or not. Because that is a way to do it. And people choose that, great. I'm not saying that my way is the best way. In fact, it's probably has shown not to be the best way in so many different circumstances. But if you're a person that struggles to do something on a longer term because you lose that motivation because you're not seeing the rewards from it, then try doing it just because you love it.
Yeah, but and that's the difficult part, because I would love to see you reach that Ed Sheeran stage with your podcast, but the for that to happen, the love has to stay, and that's such a difficult thing, because you can wake up the next day and you don't enjoy it anymore. And now knowing that if you don't enjoy it, you won't continue it, that means the chance is very big that you won't reach that Ed Sheeran level.
True, very true. At the moment, all I can say is at the moment I'm enjoying it. If there comes a time where I'm not enjoying it, I might go and I don't know, be a beekeeper or something like that. See if I enjoy that anymore. It's that simple for me. It's right, if I'm enjoying it, I'm going to carry on doing it. If I don't enjoy it anymore, then I'll move on. Fair enough. I try my best. I've had my own set of values where I've tried my best to everything that I do is around a certain area, because I want everything to be working and cascading towards each other to benefit each other. So that if I do jump ship and try something else, it's still in the same arena, so that I've not just lost all that progress. So I might do podcasting, I might do vlogging, I might do reels, I might do photography, I might do journalism. There's a load of things I know I'm interested in because I'm excited about life, and I like seeing what people are up to and what they're doing and seeing the world. If I can keep what I'm doing in that area, which everything I do tends to fall in that area, then regardless of which one more specifically I do, there's crossover in not just people and views and that kind of stuff, but crossover in skills, where the skills I've learned from doing this will help me with things I'm doing elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that's a way for me to keep progressing with what I'm doing. If that helps answer your question.
That makes sense. I think it's because in this phase of my life, like I realized I really like mastery of a skill. I really like expertise. So I watch a lot of MMA fighters who started from the bottom, or top football players, Ronaldo, Messi, and I'm very fascinated by how they can sustain their joy and their how they can just perfect their craft. Because if you look at it, like most sports, they are so value. How would you say that in a proper way? Like, there is literally no point in you playing football. You contribute nothing to society, yet these people can dedicate their whole life to something that's, if you think about it, it doesn't even really exist. So it's so interesting to see, to me, that they can just grind it out, just keep on pursuing it, whilst my max is like 2 to 3 years, and then I lose interest. So I'm really curious to find out how I can stay consistent, because I would like to be a David Goggins in something, or a Messi in something, and I'd hate for me to just keep jumping ship and know a bit of something about everything. Yeah, a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Um,
Yeah, but
I,
then
I
there
want
is
to
one
be a
thing you'll
master
always
of
be
few.
there is one thing that you'll always be a master of, and as cliche and corny as it might sound, you may not
Mm-hmm.
ever be the Messi of this or the David Goggins of that, but you'll always be the Isaac Achaempong of what you do. And that might not sound like much, but at 27 years old, going at the rate you're going at, things don't move linearly.
It's true.
Things move exponentially over years and years and decades. And if you've got your own core set of beliefs which you stick to and you love and you want to keep working at, those things you will compound more and more over time. And those don't come down to necessarily the individual skills and activities that you're doing, but the actual values that you hold.
Mm.
A massive value I can see that you hold is service to others and service to society and community.
Mm.
Regardless of whatever area you decide to direct that energy, direct that attention and hard work and that pursuit of mastery, you will always become more valuable at that, which is helping others in the community. Regardless of, yes, if you stick to one thing, and that's great, you stick to that one thing, and you get very, very good at that one thing individually. But it's not a case of you're never going to find something. No one's ever going to find something which they're just like automatically amazing at. If you look at any athlete or any professional, any individual activity, sports, creative thing, or whatever it might be, the majority of times, I work with children a lot, and I do a lot of psychology. The majority of times, they found this thing and they started it from a very young age. They let's say the world's best. Well, let's say Lionel Messi, for example. When he was as young as maybe even like 2, 3, 4 years old, as soon as he could remember, he may have just stood up one day in his living room or outside, kicked a ball against the sofa, and his parents just went absolutely ballistic, like, "Oh my god, that was so amazing!" And he just had like an absolute light up shock
Mm.
of intense emotion and passion for that one thing. And then, what does that make him want to do? It
Do
makes
it
him want to
again.
do it again.
Yeah.
So he does it again, and then he gets more reward for it. And then he starts going to practice in a team with his coaches. And then because he's practiced more, he's better at it. And because he's better at it, he gets more status, let's say, and accreditation from all the other players and other coaches. And he feels good even more so. And then that compounds again, where because he's better, he gets scouted, and it goes again to the next level. And then he gets more attention by these coaches to push him even further, and it just keeps on spiraling and spiraling. It's a lot of it is based on tail events of these individual moments which have sparked an absolute amount of joy and love for what he's done. So I'm not going to stand here and say love and passion for what you do is the only thing that's going to get you there. It's
Yeah.
not, but that's the thing that starts it off. Because you also do need to feel that sense of progression towards what you're going for. And a great way that people get that a lot of the time is through their peers and through acknowledgement and accreditation. There's a reason why people want to be famous and successful on the internet, on YouTube, on TV and movies, because they see that other people love them for what they do and they get that reward from that. And to them, that's a case of, oh, this means that what I'm doing is right. I'm not wrong in doing this. If you had an amazing guitarist as like a mentor who's done all these things and has got up to the very top from a young age, you've got him and you've got that social proof that what I'm doing is correct. So that you pick up a guitar, and even though you might play shit for like months to begin with. And even if this person doesn't tell you anything what to do, and he doesn't give you any actual advice on how to play better, him being there and having done that, telling you just to keep going, is going to have a massive effect on whether you keep going or not. So yeah, we need to have that kind of belief that what we're doing is working and we're going to progress towards a noble goal within that. But it's not just as simple as that.
Yeah, Arthur Brooks has this way of describing people, and you sound like a cheerleader, which is somebody who has high positive effects and relative low negative effects. Meaning, it's easier for you to see that the positive side of things, to see that things will be all right, or to see how you would need to adapt to overcome certain obstacles. And I think the funny thing is, which he said, and I'm kind of curious too if you can relate to that, is that you can easily underestimate the possible threat that is coming. So maybe
100%.
like, okay,
100%. Yeah, it's very easy to underestimate the difficulties that are going to come through doing those things. Very easy. So we need a mix of both kind of people, the cheerleaders and the trolls,
the poets. No,
there's the cynical ones as well.
Yeah,
but it's for me, this is the way I like to enjoy doing things. Yes, there's things that are going to be difficult along that way, but if I know for a fact if I have to focus on those things that are difficult, because I don't ignore them, I just weigh them up. I weigh them up against each other.
Is your girlfriend also a cheerleader, or is she more realistic? Is she the counterbalance?
You know what's coming here. Oh, you know what's going. Yeah, she is the counterbalance, which is necessary. That yin and yang, 100%.
Yeah,
and that's the same with everyone in every organization. You have that positive and you have that negative. You need that both sides.
Yeah.
But I know the impact that I want to have, going back to that from earlier, is I want to shoot big people up. I want to give them that hope to keep going. I don't want to tell them and ruin their dreams and squash their ambitions. I want to be that force that pushes them towards that, as opposed to the one that takes them away from that. Because not everyone achieves their goals. Not everyone gets what they want in life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm not under any illusion that happiness is everywhere. Everyone's fucking happy. God knows suffering out there like you wouldn't believe. But at the same time, if I were to focus on that and talk about that and put my energy towards that, I'm only going to grow more of that. There's a great saying which I love, which is, "What you appreciate appreciates." Which I don't know how that might translate for yourself with your English, but it's so what you look at and what you appreciate, it grows.
Yeah.
It grows, and that's how things happen exponentially over time. If I were to focus more on those negative things, then I'll become a lot more of a negative person, and the negative things in my life will grow. You know better than I do the psychological side of things and how the brain works.
Yeah.
Where the world we see is the world we build up in our own heads. If we're more inclined to see positive, we're more inclined to see positive, and the same with negative. I'm lucky enough, I'm not saying I'm skilled, but I'm lucky enough to have had a certain events happen in my life which have opened my eyes to seeing the positive and actioning on that positive, so that can grow. And as that grows, my firm belief is, doesn't mean that my life's going to get better, but it means that I can have a positive impact, a much more positive impact. And I've seen that. If I'm tired and stressed and anxious and worried, and I walk into work or I walk into any social event, I'm not a pleasant person to be around.
Oh, I thought you were still okay. No, I think you're completely right. It's just, and that's something I realized just I think 1 week ago. that there is a chance that the level of positivity that you now achieve, you now gained, might be hard for some people to relate to, because indeed it is a skill, and it's very possible that because my girlfriend has the same thing, where I now realize that I can look at the most insane deadlines or negative things that happen to me and just be like, oh well, that's life, and I won't even sweat about it. Like I won't sleep a minute less, and she will think about it like for 45 minutes strategically from for 4 different sides, um, and she'll find it so difficult to just brush it off that when I tell her you'll be all right, don't worry about it, it's like I almost it's almost difficult for me to relate to her level.
You're there dodging shoes as she's throwing her slippers at you from across the room.
Yeah.
No, it is. No, you're very right. You're very true, and it's not to say that my point of view or anyone else's is better than anyone else's, because if the world
No,
was full of me's,
that's true.
Jesus Christ, yeah, we might all be very smiley and love going do things, but nothing's ever going to get fucking done. like there'll be no like
Yeah, there's
built
no
up
pressure.
societies, and there's no like come on, there's not there. There's a place for everybody, and they all need
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with my partner, and she's amazing for me. Does that mean that I think she's the perfect person in the world? No such thing. Does that mean I'm the perfect person in the world? Hell no. But together we work well with what we
But
need.
is it easy for you to relate to her too? Because how is the difference? Like, are you way too optimistic compared to her, or is it easy to relate to each other?
Yeah, because I have that understanding that I don't, just because I think this way doesn't mean other people have to or have to or
Okay.
should. It's just the way that I
Okay.
choose to think. So if I have anyone else's point of view on what things are, I'm never going to turn around and say to them, "That's fucking stupid," because it's not. Like they I'm well aware that the things that I have lived through in my life. I'm not even on about major events here. Just everything. Like I'm a product of my history
Yeah.
and the things I've been through, and
Yeah.
that's made me believe a certain way.
Yeah.
It'd be very stupid of me to think that anyone else has the same views or should have the same views as me when they've lived completely different lives. And that's just how it goes. Like I wouldn't. Same with Katie. Same with yourself. I might speak of certain ways, and I say I try. I fail a lot at trying to not preach.
Yeah.
Trying not to preach about the way that I see things. But there's a certain percentage of people that this might help.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that if I thought differently, I wouldn't be out here in Australia right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done the things that I did, which I enjoy right now. I've got countless amount of friends who hate their jobs and hate the town that they're in and hate their lives, but they feel that they need to do it because they're scared of what to do otherwise. There's like two extremes. Life can be so bad that you need to do something about it, and you could be so cynical about things that like you just hate everything and you go and do things differently because of that. Or you can be so optimistic that you build up your own motivation to do these things, to do different things. So that's why, speaking to someone like yourself, I would not have been able to do anything close to the educational distinction that you needed to have to become a doctor. Not because I don't believe I'm smart enough, but just because that focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And that focus on one thing for a noble cause bigger than yourself, to help other people. So how have you found that whole process? Because I feel like everyone needs an outlet regardless. Some people go out and work all through the week and then go and on a massive bender and have loads of drinks at the weekend. Everyone has their own vice. So with yourself, as a young doctor, from when you were training, was it always DJing that was kind of your outlet, your vice? Or was it something else? Did you have your own kind of thing that you did to sort of break through the mundane and the tough times?
I think my outlet is like the little projects that I have in between. So that could be DJing, but I started playing the drums first, then the keyboard, uh, and then I went to DJing. So I think those moments, those bursts of, oh, I have a new thing that I'm interested in, a new chance to chase something. Those are the outlets. Um, and I think it's funny to see because I never really looked at my way of relaxing, if that makes sense. I'm not really a conscious relaxer, so I might be really heavily enjoying something and then not even realizing that I'm now loading up, recharging, that I'm now resting. So it's interesting. I never reflected on my way of relaxing.
So do you feel like that's something you lack, that relaxing, or
What do you
is
mean?
that something? Do you feel like you need to relax more, or do you just feel like because I get that same thing. Like I'll just keep working and doing something because I'm stuck in that moment. I'm enjoying it. Even if I'm not enjoying it, I'm in that flow state.
Hmm.
So do you feel like you need to relax more for what you're doing, or
To be honest, I don't really. It's
no? That's good.
yeah. Looking at it, it sounds a bit crazy, but um, I never work towards a holiday where I need to chill, or I'm never burned out after a semester. Even though I can spend like sometimes crazy hours studying, because I think it's bursts. Whatever catches your attention, that gives you that adrenaline, dopamine, the cortisol. So like it, I don't know if that's safe to say, but the excitement and the this is worth it hormones.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the satisfaction keeps me going. So just working hard and coming one step closer, and as long as I get sufficient steps toward my goal, the the hard work the hard work doesn't feel as hard work anymore.
Well, so I'll ask you then, because you asked me beforehand, what is that end goal then?
So that's something I've been really asking myself a lot lately, because Arthur Brooks really tells you that to find your purpose is to know what you're willing to die for. And I looked at it and I was like, to die for? Like, I don't want to die for anything. I like living. But so I'm really questioning what is my why and what am I willing to die for? Not which goal am I willing to pursue? No, to die for. Um, and at this point, it's kind of vague because it's mastery. Like I, I would be willing to die for mastery, for excellence in something. Um, but I haven't found the specific what. So um,
Well, have you read a book by a guy called George Leonard called Mystery?
no, I actually haven't.
So not the one by Robert Greene.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
great,
yeah,
great.
yeah,
It's only a
yeah.
small book. The one by it's called by a guy called George Leonard, and it's called Mastery. I read it a while back because I had a very similar kind of idea to yourself with these things. Before I came to travel and do all these things, I was very business orientated and money orientated, and I was becoming like mastery within those things. Like they say, Diary of a CEO, all
Mm,
these other a library full of books of different businessy type, marketing, psychology type books. And this book goes on, more specifically, it talks about the route towards mastery and
mm,
achieving it, and it talks about the general path that people take through excitement, through the other times,
mm,
and it's the main concept or the main idea that he says to take from it is that you get better at things and you gain skills and you break new ground. At the beginning, you break new ground constantly. You learn a new skill, you break new ground constantly. Like you get better and better and better very, very quickly.
mm,
And you see that and it keeps you going. But over time, you start to get better a lot more slowly. You sit on that plateau a lot longer.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting on that plateau for longer periods of time, it's very easy at that point to jump ship. It's very easy at that point to quit. And that's when you stop. You only fail when you quit. You only fail when you fail to get back up again. So it's not, yes, going in and failure after failure and learning from your failures is great, and that works for so long. But let's say he uses martial arts. He uses a specific martial arts called Aikido a lot in the book to talk about it, explain it. Or within this martial arts and any martial arts, it's a fact that once you get to a certain level, you will pretty much stay at that level constantly, just reps and sets constantly. It's how you get better at everything, reps and sets. But then your progress starts to slow, and you pretty much stay the same for so long. And then eventually you'll get a little bit of more knowledge, and it's like, oh, awesome, I'm a little bit better now than before.
Yeah.
And things start to become more second nature within what you're doing. Because when you're learning a skill or becoming better at anything, it's never so much about how good you are when you're intentionally. It's almost wholly subconscious. It's when you can internalize that skill, and you can do it without even thinking about it. Like if you look at any professional footballer, say Messi or Ronaldo, like we were talking about earlier, for them, do they think about it? Yes. But a large part of their skill set is also instincts now. They've built it into their own instincts because they've practiced that much. So within this book, I'd 100% recommend it. He talks the main concept about enjoying that plateau. If you can enjoy that plateau and enjoy being at a level where you're not improving for so long, because you know that the more you do it, you will improve, but you're not necessarily going to notice the improvement day by day.
But that's the difficult part, because that plateau isn't fun.
Exactly. But that's why you pick the things that you were going to enjoy just doing. Pick the things that you're going to enjoy doing when you've still got a goal. Like, yeah, I say I haven't got a particular necessarily goal for this podcast, but I've got an idea and I've got a dream about it. If I don't get there, it doesn't matter, but if I've got a dream about it, yes, that's great. But you've got to enjoy that plateau of not getting better for so long in order to get better. Because it's not linear. It's never linear. There's things like I've been so flawed myself in so many things where I've just jumped into it because I've seen the potential and I've seen what could happen or where I could be, and I've done it when I just wouldn't enjoy it. A lot of my businesses beforehand, even with mild success in some of them, I was just doing it every day, the hard work. I'd finish a full day at work, I'd get home, I'd work on the computer making adverts and market research and products and all sorts of stuff like that. And I was doing it, and it was doing okay. It was doing well, all right. But then I was like, fuck, I'm not enjoying the in-between parts. So therefore, I'm not going to stick to it. So, again, it's Mastery by George Leonard. It's only a short book, but he uses martial arts as an example for it. Just talking about enjoying that process of being the same. That's why sports and leisure sports and activities are so good. Like you go on, I don't know if you do any hikes at all. Do you go on any hikes?
In Holland, no. I live in a city, urban city, so there's not much to hike.
Again, cities are not a great place for the mind.
No.
But then things like surfing, or we went to Arisaia. We tried surfing, didn't we?
Yeah.
We did surfing while we were out there. It's a great area, perfect example. A big part of that is just going out and doing it, even if you're getting smashed out. If you're getting smashed by every wave, and take that as much as a metaphor as you want. If you're getting smashed by every wave, it doesn't matter. A big part of it is just going out and doing it. Go out and do it, even if you don't even manage to stand up once. Even if you can't even paddle out, you just go out and do it. But the lessons you learn from that is a lot of it's to do with just enjoying being out there. Because when you hit that perfect wave and you're standing up and you're flowing, it feels incredible, like you're gliding, like you're flying. But then you start to think, how can you do that more often? And you get better at the things that make you better at it. So a big part of that is positioning. If you're not in the right way, if you're not in the right spot to catch a wave, you're not going to get that wave. You're not going to get that experience. So taking that into life, how can you position yourself physically and mentally and literal location for the best benefits to be able to catch that wave? Like we were saying beforehand, if I know for a fact for myself that if I lack the motivation to do something, I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to stick to it. Okay, so let's position myself in a place where I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not doing too much. I'm not going to burn out. I can see the potential in the future for it. And I've got the ability to be able to do it so far. I'm positioning myself. And then even location, to do those things, I'm going to be in Australia for now. I'm going to be doing this podcast for now. Like, I'm positioning myself to be able to catch that wave. That wave's not, it's not a constant wave. It's not like I'm always riding the wave. A lot of the time I'm paddling back out after I've fallen off or I've not made it. And I'm like, fuck, let's try again. Put myself in that position to catch that wave. And over time, just doing that over and over and over and over and over again, day after day, tide after tide, you just get better at it, and you get better at catching those waves, and then you can ride those waves more gracefully, and you might even be able to pull up a few tricks. And then if you do that enough for almost a lifetime, what it feels like, an entire lifetime, sometimes there might be some people looking at you from the shore and say, fuck, he's pretty good at surfing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's difficult to achieve, but it is what we're supposed to do.
It is difficult to achieve, and everyone's gonna fail a lot more than they're gonna succeed. But know yourself, know what you love, know what you hate, know what you want to do, what you don't want to do, what you're willing to do, what will be a struggle, and put yourself in the best position for when, because there's no serendipity about it. There's no woo woo. Oh, if I have this positive mental attitude, then amazing things are going to happen to me. No, that's not how it works. But if I do have this positive mental attitude about it, I know for myself that I'm more likely to paddle back out and put myself in that position to go and try again. Other people love that fucking struggle. Other people love feeling like they're useless and like beating themselves up, and it motivates them to try even harder. Those David Goggins types.
Yeah,
For them, they know that the
yeah.
only thing that gets them moving is pain. The only thing that gets them moving is beating themselves up in those dark corners of their mind. And great, if that's what gets you to paddle back out, fucking awesome, go for it. Because then whatever's going to keep you going is what's going to put you as a simple probability of it's not going to happen the first time. If you do it, you're very fucking lucky. But if you put yourself in the right position as many times as you can and get better at putting yourself in the right position, eventually the perfect wave is going to come your way.
Yeah.
Or maybe it might not. You might spend a lifetime sitting out in the water and nothing ever happens. And you just got very unlucky that you weren't there for it. But you might look at somebody like Bill Gates, for example. It's a perfect example of this. He went to a school where there was like 500 people at that school.
Mm-hmm.
Or 1,000 people at that school, that high school. That school was the only school in America that had a computer.
Wow.
The only school that there was one teacher there who worked in some type of job or whatever, and when he came to become a teacher there, he thought, oh yeah, this is the future, I'm going to bring a computer there. And Bill Gates just happened to go to that school.
Yeah, that's luck.
And then he just happened to, because there's loads of people who are just as smart as him and just as able as him, but he was that luck that he was at that right place at the right time. So the more that you can motivate yourself to put yourself in that correct position, in my opinion, I could be very wrong, but I try my best to blend logic with emotion at the same time.
Yeah,
because I've got to be a realist as well as an optimist.
Yeah.
Because I know I can be as happy as I want and it's not going to do anything. Yeah, I'm going to be happy, great. But I've still got that drive within me, just like everyone else has, to achieve and to work towards something. I can't just ignore that. it'd be very silly of me to try and ignore my own basic drives. I can try and understand them and overcome them slightly, but I don't want to ignore them because they're there to teach me something. So yeah, I've got to have that luck. But the only way that I'm going to have that luck is that age-old saying that if you don't buy a ticket, you're not going to win the lotto.
Yeah.
So I've got to do whatever I can to put myself in a position where I'm more likely to win. And if I don't win, it's okay because at least I've enjoyed it along the way.
Yeah, that's great words.
It is difficult for some people to get their head around in that way. Not everyone's going to think this way, and I know that for a fact. But the way of thinking has served me very well, and that's me saying that coming from no financial or worldly success, but just a success as in how I actually enjoy spending my time.
Yeah.
And who knows, one day that could translate to other success. But I'm in no rush.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the life that I'm living, progressing along nice and slowly, and learning more about myself each day.
Compounding day by day.
Compounding day by day, little by little. So yeah, there's always going to be struggles with that, but if I can do that, then great.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's something that you do as well. That comes down to your values. There's something that you do with everything that you do, being of service to the community. You're a religious man. You take part in your community. You contribute to your community. You're doing that day by day. Your mind is drawn to those acts, those thoughts of how can I improve, not so you can become a master at things in particular, but because so you can be of better service. And that's a great thing to have. And that's a great mindset I'd love to adopt as well, a lot more. I'd love to be of service. Can I be of better service somehow? Yeah, but you've got to tick off your own boxes in the way that they show themselves of importance to you.
Yeah.
So over time, what, at 27? Fuck. I feel like me and you, especially at our age, and people younger than us as well, are so conditioned to thinking that they need to have everything straight away and that they need to achieve everything, and to be a success and to be happy, they need to be successful straight away, instantly.
Yeah.
If you look at all the people that you admire and look up to and see in the world, and that actually would like have that admiration for, how many of them are actually under 50 or like under 40, under 30 or under 40? Because it takes that time. Yeah, you might say athletes. Athletes are a very special case because we know
athletes indeed. Yeah,
we know that we're not going to be able to be those athletes because we've missed that boat on that compounding. Their compounding started at 4 years old. We can't now suddenly start at 25, 27 years old and become the next Ronaldo. But there's a million different things, especially as a doctor and yourself as a DJ. All these things. There's a million different things where you can, over the next however many years. Because think of it more so this way, and this is what helped me a lot when I was thinking about this, was when I was like 18. Think about what your active years have actually been. Because yes, you're 27, and you might think, oh, if I'm lucky, I'm going to get another 2 times what I've already had. And that feels very daunting and scary. If you're unlucky, it could be double. But think of it more so as in, okay, active years, you're only really active from when you're an adult, for the most part. Yeah, unless you like an athlete or music, things like those kind of things. Yeah, you start a lot younger. You're only really active, and by active I mean you have a choice in what you do from when you're an adult. 18. You might even say you only really have a choice in what you do when you leave leave home, or when you leave university, or whatever it might be. But let's just say for our purposes, it's when you're an adult, which is what? From 18. And at 27, that's 9 years. And let's say that's by that same logic, you're going to live to, let's say, just chuck an average number of 75 out there.
Yeah.
Well, 75 take away 27.
You calculated it.
But basically saying you've got you've got around 50 years. That's not just double what you've had now or triple what you've had now. That's like 8, 9, 10 times what you've had now.
Yeah, that's true.
Your active years, you've lived 9 active years. More than likely to be like 5, because 21, really, you're not even 21, 22, you're still a child, really, aren't you? Mentally, in terms of like worldly knowledge.
27, I'm still a child.
We're always still a child. But then, even then, let's say it was 5 years. That means you've got 10 times what you've had now, not 2. That's a lot of time, a lot of time to be able to do and work on that compounding. And even if you're jumping ship on the activities that you're doing, it's still based on your values.
Yeah.
So you're still getting better at producing that value to other people with every activity, with every iteration. So you may not become a master at one in particular thing, but you will become a master in the things that you find the most important. And that as a value is, from what I can see, helping other people. And by the time you get to that 40, 50, 60 years old, you would have helped a fucking shit ton of people and made a massive impact and have an amazing, profound impact far beyond what you could even physically see. From talking about that chain reaction of how you help people and how you are better able to help people in the future, that's a massive, massive response. Let's say, for example, as a doctor, I'll just throw a hypothetical out there. Let's say you decide to go into being a private doctor. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say when you're 50 years old, you're a private doctor for a very, very rich dude or woman. So you're a private doctor for a very rich woman. And she's very rich, she's very successful, and she has a company which helps millions and millions and millions of people. Now, if you've worked your way up through as a doctor to the point where you're saving her life or making her live longer, by extension, you have helped all the people that she will help. Head of a charity, the organizational head of a charity, which feeds people in Africa or plants a load of trees or whatever it might be, by extension, by helping her to live longer, you have helped her to save hundreds of thousands of more people. Which essentially means that you can't take the credit for that, but you can sleep very happily thinking, fuck, I've helped a lot of people right now just by being here.
That's true.
And you can take that all the way down to whatever degree you want. Think of it like as a very biological, not even based on beliefs or whatnot. Let's say as a person, what do? We breathe. We breathe out CO2. We've breathed out CO2 so that a tree could take in that CO2 and create more oxygen for other people. So just by being here, you're helping other people survive.
Oh, I thought you were still telling the story, or
No, just by being here, you're helping other people survive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like it's a big thing that's helped me kind of bring things back down to the fact that I don't need to do anything. I do it because I want to, because just by being here, you're helping. Just by living, you're having a positive impact. I don't know if that helps you at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. Never looked at it from that way, but you have many more philosophical years beyond me. So
I don't know about that.
So it's a refreshing new look at life, especially the point where even if you don't become a master, you become a master at your values. I like that one.
Yeah, like compare yourself now to what 5 years ago as a person. How much have you changed as a person since then?
Whew.
How much more do you know yourself than then?
That's true.
Like I look at all these people and think, wow, these people have done amazing things and amazing feats of accomplishments, whether it be athletic, whether it be social, whether it be charitable, financial, whatever it is. Every single one of them has been doing it for years and years and years and years. I'd be very, very naive to think that I can achieve anything like that at the age I'm at now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'd also be extremely naive to believe that I'll get to that level without putting in the work
That's true.
every day.
Hard work, day by day, step by step.
It is hard work, but it doesn't mean it has to be. Doesn't mean it has to be miserable work.
Yeah, true.
Hard work can be fun at the same time. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's a massive amount of time on my takes on things.
Oh,
We did this for the whole week when we were in
interesting thing.
Portugal. The whole week we basically
Yeah,
spoke about
I
the
remember.
same kind of stuff.
Yeah. But to be fair, that was the whole reason I came to Portugal, so I couldn't be more happy.
Exactly that. Yeah, because at the time you were, if I remember rightly, you had broken up with your ex.
Daily did it again. Amazing memory. Yeah.
That's not my memory's fuck. Right. Okay. My memory is terrible for things like dates, times, numbers, anything that has no significant like emotion behind it or feeling behind it. I don't
Mm,
remember. As soon as it comes to people and
mm,
things that we've done or like things that people have told me, I'm like, I remember these things like it was yesterday.
mm, mm. That's so dope. Yeah.
That's just how my brain works. But yes, you came out during that time to, well, to grieve effectively, to grieve a loss,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to kind of figure things out with where you were.
Yeah.
And from there, so it's a bit late in the podcast to try and stop bringing it up now, but finally, what path had you taken from there? What happened from when you went home? What you continued with? What you found out about yourself to lead me up in that story to catch me up where you are.
Um. Like I think, to be honest, from there on, I started to want to make more sense of life and of myself. Figure out the why it didn't work. What's my personality? Why did we clash? Um, um, yeah, I think that kind of skyrocketed my pursuit to knowledge, to understanding myself, and to the difficulty which we call finding a partner. Um, so from there, I kind of realized that I don't know myself enough, and spend more times looking and listening and figuring out who am I, what kind of type am I, what do I want in a partner. Um, and honestly, after all those years, I can still say I don't know who I am. I still keep surprising myself. Like the me I am changes every 2 years, it seems. So it's very difficult
And it
to
should.
yeah. So it's very difficult to stay updated on what motivates me or who I am or what I don't like. Yeah. So it's I I started looking more towards understanding myself and my next potential partner, then realizing how difficult it is to understand myself and the and my partner. That's why I also know all of these things from Arthur Brooks, the Happiness Expert, and from Steve Peters, the psychiatrist. All those they all try to make sense of the pursuit of happiness
Something that doesn't
and the
make
pursuit of
sense.
getting a partner. Yeah, exactly. And they all conclude with how difficult it is, and that you have to find a way, and then leave it kind of fakely, because
Yeah,
yeah, at the end of the day, you have to do it yourself. So
yeah. You do. I mean, I find this a lot. I don't know if you agree with if you find any similarities with this with yourself. A lot of the times that I've noticed, people who are very logic based by nature, because they have to be as well, because for the jobs that they have, and the jobs that they do, and they like to make sense of things completely.
yeah.
These people tend to analyze situations quite a lot,
Mm.
and they analyze them to the point where they can't fully experience them and appreciate them within what they're doing, especially with like a partner. Where if you like when you analyze how you are too much, you then take yourself away from being yourself. So you're only analyzing your analytical self because that's how you feel at the time. You're in an analytical mood. It's hard to analyze yourself and how you feel whilst you're feeling it and doing it. So everything that you kind of look at and everything you kind of think and analyze about yourself tends to be more on the like you see yourself as an analytical person, not as that feeling person.
I get what you're saying.
Do you agree with that at all, or?
I haven't thought about it that way. I mean, it makes sense because I do know how complex I am and the difficulty in trying to grasp it. So that would make for a huge reason. I'm missing a big part of it, even parts.
Have you ever heard of the? Go on, carry on. Sorry, I'll say afterwards.
I don't want to say it's similar to what Esther Perel always said. We are dynamic. We are in context of the next person. So when I'm talking with you or when I'm talking with my girlfriend, I am two different versions. They might be close to each other, but you are in a relationship to others. So that makes sense in the difficulties of trying to understand yourself because you change depending on where you are. So yeah,
for sure. So have you ever heard of the analysis paradox?
no.
So effectively, what we do when we analyze things, well, firstly, what we think we're doing is we think we're holding a microscope up to something and then looking at it up close to see what we can pick apart.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're actually doing is analysis is more like a scalpel, where we're splitting it into two. We come up close, we split it into two, and we can see, or we can always see two sides. Analysis is comparison. That's all it is. We're comparing the two sides of things based off what we know. So we always see the positive and the negative, the yin and the yang. Because we're analyzing it, we can see both. And then we get confused because we think, which one should we have? Which one should we look at? Which one's right? Where in essence, they're both right because it wouldn't be the whole thing without those two parts combined.
Yeah.
So if you look at yourself as much as you might look at yourself as an analytical person, or you might look at yourself as a feeling person, you wouldn't be either without both halves.
Yeah.
And we do this with everything we analyze. When we analyze things, we don't really see them for what they are. We're too up close and we're looking at these individuals and we say it's this thing or it's that thing.
Yeah.
When in essence it is both.
Yeah.
So we need to see, in order to analyze things, we need to really take a step back and not judge it. Because when we're analyzing things, not only are we comparing them one thing to the other, but that means we're judging them. And we're judging them based off our own morals and our own beliefs.
That's true.
We're judging those two sides, that positive side, that negative side. It's the angel and devil on the shoulder. We look at it, we compare it, and we say, right, we like this one, we don't like this one. We're going to go towards this one. But by doing that, we're ignoring the other side completely. So the more we look into it, the less we kind of see, which I found for myself. I've read all of the psychology books and different gurus and personal development coaches and whatnot. And the one thing I find when I'm doing that particularly, which is the biggest kind of paradox ever, is that the more that I read into those things, the less I actually focus on myself. Because I'm focusing more on those things as opposed to myself. Because that excites me and that interests me because I want to get better. But then we're all experiential learners. And the only way we actually learn these things properly, regardless of people telling us these things, is to go out and experience them.
Yeah.
We've got to go and find out for ourselves and look at ourselves and see how we respond. Not see it, not read it in a book and then analyze ourselves and say what we like and what we don't like. about ourselves, and then effectively cutting half of ourselves out of the equation and saying we don't like that, we're not going to pursue that. So it's a real, for me, that was a massive paradox, because I loved reading the personal development books. I loved hearing from the people that you're saying with, what was his name? The guy you're reading?
Arthur Brooks.
Yeah, Arthur Brooks. And then all the other guys and girls that are out there who are motivating people with how to live their lives.
Yeah.
And then all it does is distract you from actually living your life. Because now you're looking at that and reading that, and your attention's not on you, your attention's on what you want to be. And it's that desire, that dukkha.
But isn't that in a way the same thing you're doing right now?
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
that also the paradox?
Yeah, you can't avoid it. The life's a fucking paradox. Yeah, of course it is. You find meaning in it where you can.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I know I enjoy.
Yeah.
And then at some points I know I'm not going to enjoy it, and I'm going to do it anyway.
But so basically, for them listening, at some point they should stop listening and start focusing on themselves.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Like,
are you
gonna become a so think of working on yourself as like any skill. So let's take you learning French, for example. Okay, you can listen to Duolingo all you want, but if you never speak a word of French, or you never go to France and experience that culture and learn that, you're not going to learn it if you're just listening to it the whole time. Just as you learn things so much quicker when you're in that environment and in that culture. If you went and lived in France for as long as I did, with the intention to learn French, you'd be a lot further down the line than you are right now.
Yeah.
Other than listening to it on Duolingo, just in the same way that you can read as many guitar books as you want, will not make you a great guitarist.
Yeah.
They will help you, but at some point you've got to play. You've got to play.
Yeah, that's true. Very, very true.
I don't know. Whenever I end up speaking to you, it always comes into our own personal life philosophical battles, and I see a lot of within yourself, a lot of myself, and a lot of especially what I've learned for myself. And when I say learned for myself, I cannot stress enough that everything that I say is stuff that I've learned for myself, which works for myself.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for everyone. It's not going to work. I wouldn't recommend it for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by sharing it, I hope it at least opens up a doorway to see things differently.
Yeah, true. It's like giving someone another option for the toolbox to use to see life from at.
Yeah. Well, it's like that. They say if all you have is a hammer, then everything's a nail.
Wow.
Have you not heard that one before?
No.
Yeah, it's the tools you have. The tools that you use are the ones that dictate how you act.
Yeah. It's funny because it's true. All I have is a hammer, everything is a nail. Yeah.
Well, on that note, then.
I think it's the same with.
What quotes is it you like to live by?
I'm just thinking very deeply, because it's a good question.
No, sorry, I can hear the echo in the background. I didn't know whether or not it's delayed.
Oh, so you're hearing an echo, because I don't hear an echo.
Only slightly. It's okay. It's fine. We'll carry on as long as it's not delayed.
I have an echo cancellation button. Oh, okay. Honestly, I don't think I have a quote I live by. It's not a quote, but I think something that's ingrained in me is that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Oh, it's a Bible verse. Maybe that counts.
It definitely counts.
If I look back at my life and how I pursue things, like even becoming a doctor, I wasn't even qualified. The level I had at elementary school and at primary school, it wasn't high enough to become a doctor, but that didn't stop me. And even whilst playing drums and piano and the keyboard, I then still decided there is space for DJing. So it's I think the quote I live by is you can do everything, all things, but yeah, you have to make a decision on how hard you're willing to work for it. But if you want to do it, yeah, with God on your side, if He's for you, who can be against you?
So what does that bring for you then, as a feeling? Because I know a lot of people. I'm not personally. I'm not. Well, say I am or I aren't. It doesn't. It's trying to see how to word this now. How does that feeling? 'Cause I've spoken to people beforehand of other religions, who have said, and who have now are non-believers since.
Mm.
But the way that they explained it to me was the fact that they miss that warm kind of feeling they had when they believed that they were being looked after
Mm. Mm.
by God. And then I
Mm.
can imagine that translating very well, as in it's like always having someone in your corner to keep you going and will you on
Yeah,
through the tough times.
yeah, because I think like they always say, diamonds are made under pressure, but nobody talks about the diamonds that get crushed under pressure. It's very easy to fall or to fail or to not get back up if the pressure is too high. And I think faith is like an emotional outlet, and also it's like I don't know, it's like a warm blanket when it gets cold and when it gets dark, because you know that if you truly believe in Him, if you truly believe in a God, then your doubt is kind of disrespectful, because you can say He is all powerful and He can do all things, and then question whether it will work out. Those two can't coexist. So
Yeah,
it's kind of reassuring when things get very hard to remember that it will be good, not because of your own strength, because that's when things get interesting. Because when you're in those situations and things don't work out, they didn't work out because you weren't able to do it. But then you know that you don't have to be able to do it, because you got a God who has a plan, who will make a way regardless. And that's I think the you can now shut off your brain and know that regardless of my lack, it is enough.
I love that. I love that. That's very similar to the way that I go about things. And then that's when I say my love for something or I enjoy doing something. That's same kind of feeling.
No.
So that you can you can compartmentalize those doubts
Yeah.
and put them to one side and say it's fine,
Yeah.
everything's fine, everything's okay. You got to keep going anyway. You keep going, and then there'll be a path forged for you with wherever you do. And has that helped you a lot through, especially how many years of training did you have to do to become a doctor?
6 years.
6 years, and now you're doing another master's.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the new master's in then?
It's healthcare management.
Okay, management as well.
Yeah.
You've got your work cut out for you.
It's funny because the only reason I chose this master was because they had a course on personal leadership, and I thought it was going to show you how to communicate effectively and work with others and be like your own boss, your own leader. I made this whole I made up the whole content of the course just by the name, and then it turned out it's just an extra course which you can decide what you want to do, but it had nothing to do with what I imagined. So,
Oh no! And you're
so,
still
so
going to do it anyway.
yeah, I think now I'm using it as an to train my discipline, if that makes sense, to keep consistent. Because like I think one of my core values is also like biblical. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. So if I say I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
something, I want people to know that I'm reliable. So
Yeah.
I don't want to write my name under something. Yeah, I'm going to do healthcare management, and then after 6 months you ask me about it, and I'm like, yeah, it turned out that there was a class, so I didn't do it. Like, nah, I want to be consistent. So,
Yeah, that's something I do a lot with my clients at Pearson Training. Is right. Let's not set ourselves up to fail. Let's start building that habit of achieving what we set out to achieve.
exactly. Yeah.
Because that's a skill in its own right.
Yeah. Yeah. If you start a
Wonder
rep, you
how-
have to finish it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So with that then, with the healthcare management side of things, or even the personal leadership kind of things, within your main goal, within your big goal or in the future, how does that fall into place with that? What opportunities can you see coming from doing that?
Honestly, I think it's just a stepping stone, which will help me to get to accumulate more money faster. And not that getting money is the goal, but just this first beginning is very difficult of getting a place to rent, setting up a family, and this master will just help me because afterwards um, the I can do the same job but get paid more because of that master. Um, to then
Okay.
be able to rent earlier, build a home and a family earlier, so that I can ease off the pedal earlier. But that's like a side mission because honestly, at this point, the only reason, no, I think, yeah, the maybe the main reason is I like the social contact of the university. I've made some nice friends. It's a different environment because I'm used to hanging around a lot of doctors, having now other people, other students around me. So I think uh, part of it is the sticking to something, and another part is now I can focus on the social context and the friends I'm making. I think in a similar way as to how our friendship built or formed. When you meet people who are in a similar position and with whom you can connect, I think that's one of the most beautiful things in life, and those are to be found
It is.
everywhere.
It is. It is. It really is. And those connections you build will stay with you, and you'll reach out and still be friends with and
Yeah, yeah,
contact years down the line. Well,
yeah,
we haven't spoken now in 2 years
yeah, yeah,
coming up
yeah,
to,
yeah,
and we can come in and have a great conversation
yeah,
regardless.
yeah. No, I
So
think if you
having
had,
that that's good.
yeah, no, I think, like, I take my first answer back because I remember that I was doubtful whether I should continue the master's because I just started my first job as a doctor, and then I decided to simultaneously do this master. And then I realizing going to the introduction day, and it was just all vibes and good times and lovely context. And I was like, you know what, this seems like fun. So it's also a bit of like what you said. If you love doing it, if it's fun, then why not? And then
Of course.
the hard part is that I will continue it even though the fun will dwell off.
Yeah, well, it might do, it might not. It might fade, it might not.
Yeah,
You're a man who sticks to what they say they're going to do, and they complete it, and they do it.
yeah,
So you're going to do that, and you'll find joy in that instead.
yeah,
You'll
yeah,
find joy in sticking to your word.
yeah.
That's the
Satisfaction
benefit
is
from that.
the distinguishment that Archie Brooks made. If you do something hard, it's not. He then differentiates between joy and satisfaction. So that's why cheaters who pass an exam don't feel as happy because they didn't put as much work in it.
Oh, of course, of course. You find where you're willing to work hard and where you want to. Where you see that
Yeah.
joy. I love that, and I wish you all the best for it as well.
Thanks.
With with the course, with the qualification, and with the doctorate, with everything else,
Yeah.
it all goes in a great direction for yourself. And just to know, because imagine this one day that I always like to imagine that. So when you imagine being that person when somebody screams out, "Is there a doctor in the room?" and you turn around, you step up there like Superman, It's like, yes, miss, what seems to be the issue? Or you're there behind the discs, behind the deck, DJing. Someone passes out in the crowd. You're there, leap to the savior, whip off the t-shirt, and you've got the robe underneath with the stethoscope.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, you. It seems like to me that you tick off a lot of your own boxes with what you're doing. Whether you might think that or not, whether you've been told this before or not. Well, I don't even see it anymore because you've deleted your Instagram. But but from what I see, you travelled beforehand quite a bit into amazing places. You are big into the gym. You love the gym. You stay very healthy. You're a doctor at 27, which is no short feat at all. You still DJ and getting back into your DJing regularly. When you say a jack of all trades and a master of none is not being what you want to be, all those things that you do, again, they center around you and you do so well with them. Everything you do set out to achieve, whether you hit the highest of what you want to achieve or not, you get to a very proficient level within that. For most people who say they want to be a DJ, they're quite happy with just editing some music for themselves in their room.
Yeah.
Most people who want to go into medicine and being a doctor, so many of them just fall back into being dentists or vets, or even though it's still just as difficult in a different area, or in like a pharmacist or things like that. A lot of people don't follow through because it gets difficult. But you've got that drive and that passion within you to keep going, and you've done so well for 27. For me to be able to see and have you as a friend, to see where you take that and where that leads you further down the line, it's a moment of great pride for me.
Great to hear. Thanks. And honestly, like I'm also very curious because I don't think we really delved much into the stories I was hoping to get from a well-traveled man like you. But I think it's because I do feel the sickness a bit. So I'm already looking forward to like our next conversation and then the part 2 of digging deeper. Because
No,
I
of
know.
Course. Go on, sorry.
No, because I know you have much more to offer me, and I'm just patiently sucking it all of the knowledge. But now I want the stories as well.
No, we spent a lot of time today talking deeper philosophical stuff. But that's how our conversations tend to go, and that's fine with it. I don't have any intention with these chats to see where they lead
I get that.
and what we talk about and what we both want to talk about, and hopefully we can exchange some. Well, hopefully we can exchange some thoughts for each other, which I definitely have. But thank you very much, Isaac.
Yeah, you too, baby,
I hope you're feeling better soon.
Yeah, thank you.
You get some rest, recover.
Yeah.
And I'll speak to you very soon.
Yeah, and thank you for the fruit, the knowledge. Even though I'm supposed to live more and focus more on myself, I like this last bit of knowledge before I do that. Yeah,
it's a comforting thing to have. It's a comforting thing to have.